Welcome to the Big Blue Radio Show, coming to you on Tulsa Community College's online radio station, The Grid, and on the Creativity Channel. I'm Greg Stone, Provost of TCC's Metro Campus. Today, TCC President Dr. Leigh Goodson and Dr. Angela Sivadon, current President of the Faculty Association, will join me to talk about the Pathways Project, a nationwide program for which the college was selected to participate that's focused on student success and increasing college completion rates. They'll share their experiences from the first Pathways Institute today on this special edition of the Big Blue Radio Show. Dr. Leigh Goodson, Dr. Angela Sivadon, thanks for being guests on the show today.
Yeah,
Normally you're a co-host, but thanks for being here. I want to talk to you first of all about the advanced work that you were a part of before the first Pathways Institute. What kind of things were you asked to do or to bring from the college to that first institute in terms of the homework?
Yeah, so we were really asked to do a snapshot of what we think we look like now in terms of how far along we are on the different components of implementing Pathways here at Tulsa Community College. And we met as a group, and it included everybody that was going to be going to the Institute, as well as some other people that were involved in answering those questions.
And I think the most important thing to me was that when we actually sit down and look at the numbers, you know, you hear things, you're involved in things at the school, and you hear about student success or the lack thereof. But when you see those numbers in front of you about how many students are enrolled in what courses and how many students are graduating or not, it makes it realistic, and it really brings to the forefront of what our task is for those things that we're focusing on.
And we should briefly just mention that the Institute was a multi-day trip where a team from the college went to meet with other Pathways Project schools. In terms of the outcomes of that first trip that you made, the first institute, what were some of the most valuable outcomes to you in terms of, you know, launching the Pathways work and also when addressing leadership skills and challenges? Angela, would you mind speaking to that first?
I think the most impressive thing to me was that the urgency is now. To start fixing these things for our students' success, and that, you know, we can't spend all of our time planning it and going over it. We need to identify the problems, work with this institute to find the things that are going to be most effective, that are best practices. And that was the great thing about that institute as well, is that we actually set different colleges were at different stages of the game. So some have started before, some are not there yet. We were kind of fell in the middle, that we already have some practices in place, and just to find out where they were and not to make the same mistakes or to grasp onto their best practices. So those were some things that were very beneficial to us as a college.
Dr. Goodson, how about you?
I think engaging with some of our peers was one of the most beneficial aspects of the Institute. Like Dr. Sivadon said, I think the other piece of it is the curriculum that they actually delivered at the Institute was very strong. They talked a lot about communication and about how, as leaders, it's our responsibility to keep everyone informed so that we're including the college community as we move forward with these different components of Pathways. And so they really required us to do some deep thinking about how we communicate with the rest of the college community as leaders. And so they would have a plenary session about a specific communication component, and then we were required to go back with our group and sit down as a team and make a plan right there on site. So we actually left the Institute with a communication plan. Now we had to finish it up when we came back. It wasn't perfect when we left, but it's a great way to keep the momentum. They essentially held our hand as we started the plan and got us far enough along so that once we got home we were able to finish it, and then kept us accountable as we came home because the homework was due in a certain period of time, and now we're implementing that communication plan.
Angela, what about skills and challenges in terms of leadership within the institution to be able to pull off such transformational change?
I think one thing is that we have to really focus our energy to do that, because change of that magnitude takes very, very focused, so we had to look at what we are doing to keep that moving forward. And I think communication, I mean, we heard that over and over, communication. And I think that leaders of the college, not just administration, but faculty leaders, staff leaders, everybody here, we need to help everybody see into the future. We need to look past the next semester and look at what's going to affect our students down the road. So just being able to communicate that, and I think just being transparent about everything.
Right. What did the two of you enjoy most about meeting with other faculty members at the First Pathways Institute? Or maybe the question is, having some time away with some of our own faculty members.
Yeah, I think the camaraderie that we were able to develop there as a team was really important. And for us to be away from the college and have an opportunity to hear what Eunice Tarver has to say about what's going on in student affairs, to hear what Professor Sloan Davis and Angela Sivadon have to say about what's going on amongst both the workforce faculty and the general education faculty, to really understand that in a setting away from the college was really beneficial. The other thing I think that was really helpful for us is that what we really realized is that we have a lot of momentum. And it was helpful for us to see that as we're talking to our colleagues across the nation.
Angela, what was your perspective like?
I think that it was very impressionable as well to me is that Regent Ballinger went with us. So we had about every spectrum, every aspect of the college there, and to have those conversations and to hear those different perspectives from each side, that we all have a common goal, but everyone's perspective about how to get there and how they see that was really good as a group to know what that is, because it made it so more holistic, when we came home, to bring that back.
Right. So Angela, this year you're president of the Faculty Association, an office that I've held in a few years ago as well. Obviously a really important role in representing the faculty members of the institution in terms of how the faculty engage with the administration, with student affairs, and sort of bringing those necessary concerns forward. Talk to us about the importance of faculty engagement from your perspective, and how critical is that to the success of the Pathways Project?
Well, I think the importance is that faculty are going to be the ones to ultimately deliver the curriculum to students, whatever pathway we come up with, And when it was very valuable talking to faculty there to find out what they had successes with as far as getting faculty engaged. And one of the things was that once you can get faculty to understand that it's not about changing the curriculum, but it's more about aligning the curriculum, that faculty was much more engaged and was more interested in participating in that alignment. And I think that to be able to bring that along, the suggestion of town halls, maybe faculty town halls, was successful at a couple colleges that they said, and I think just having those conversations and let faculty know that they are part of it, and letting them feel that they're part of the process and not something that's just going to be handed to them is going to make a big difference for us.
I want to just do a little bit of follow-up on that too, Greg. I want to say how lucky we are here at Tulsa Community College with our faculty as engaged as they are. And just as a group, Dr. Sivadon does a great job of leading the Faculty Association this year. But just a recent example is that through the organizational structure that we've recently implemented that matches up better with the Pathways Project than what we've had in the past, the faculty came to us with some concerns about the speed at which we were implementing certain steps of that new organizational structure. And that feedback was really great to have, because it helped Dr. Hess, our Chief Academic Officer, make a really sound decision about how we were going to move forward with components of the reorganization, so that two-way communication and making sure that communication is open and that the faculty are engaged in the process is critical to the success.
It's all about trust.
It's all about trust.
And something that was kind of parallel for me is that they said, the earlier we get students engaged in courses and stuff, the longer they stay and the more effort they put out. So it's kind of like with change at the college as well, you know, bringing faculty in early, it, you know, it helps them to be more engaged, and it helps them to want to work harder, and it helps them to stay on board with what the process is as we go.
I'm curious from both of your perspectives, from the administrative perspective and from the faculty perspective, what are the greatest challenges and opportunities do you see coming ahead this next year for Tulsa Community College? What are the things that we need to be most focused on?
I'm going to let
Well,
Dr. Sivadon go first.
If we think about the homework that we did before the Pathways Institute, what we need to be focused on is student persistence and student success in graduation, and getting them all the way through school. And I think that we need to focus on what is going to be the best way to make that happen, and that we all really just need to work together. I think some of the challenges are going to be to make sure that we don't hurry so much, because that we do have that urgency, that we don't miss steps, that we're very thorough in the processes that we take, and be sure that the right stakeholders are at the table, which is all the way across the college.
Dr. Goodson, what about you?
I am in complete agreement with Dr. Sivadon, and then you add to that our statewide budget crisis. And so making sure that we're able to prioritize in such a way that we don't lose the momentum we have on the graduation and completion work that we're doing. So really making hard choices and having to prioritize in a way that we're able to keep going with the work.
It's really a fundamental shift that community colleges across the country are facing, because it's no longer about opening the doors as widely as possible to get everybody in, which was sort of the paradigm for so long. Now it's really more about making sure the doors on the other side are open as wide as possible, and to do that without lowering standards, without dumbing anything down,
and without closing the door at the front end. I mean, community colleges haven't changed our mind about access. What we've said is that space in between the access and the completion, we're responsible for, not just the student. And so it's really a shift in paradigm in taking on more responsibility.
And on either side of those doors, we'll keep the metaphor going for a minute.
Yeah.
Working with our common ed partners,
Absolutely.
working with our workforce and higher ed university partners for transfer
Mm-hmm.
opportunities. It's not just about what we're doing, it has to be about what we're all doing together.
That's right.
Because as you've been saying a lot lately, you know, this is not just about our students, it's about Tulsa's students, it's about the region's students.
They're
all of our students.
They're all of our students.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
We just have a couple minutes left, but I'm also curious, since I have both of you here, what makes you proudest of being an employee of Tulsa Community College? And what makes you proudest of leading the areas of the college that you do? I mean, Dr. Sivadon, your leadership role is obviously different than the president's role, but what makes you really proud to come to work every day?
You know, I think it's how much people care about the students, and I really mean that. I think I will tell you, we got into this Pathways project thinking, we're not sure everyone's going to love it, and we're not, so we went to the Faculty Association to say, hey, do you think this is something we can take on? We got unanimous support from the Faculty Association. When we presented it to the Board of Regents, when the administration presented it to the Board of Regents, we got unanimous support. As everybody realized how hard it was going to be, instead of saying, oh, we got into more than we should have, everybody is saying, okay, let's grab our bootstraps and go. And it's just the grit that we have as a college to continuously do the right thing for students. I think that's what makes me most proud to be here.
Angela, what about you?
Well, in the role that I play as a Faculty Association president, just to be able to be an advocate for faculty and to be sure that faculty voices are heard, and to make sure that we have excellence in the classrooms and those type of things. And then just as a professor, making a difference in students' lives. It's just, when you have a student come to you and thank you for pulling for them or cheering for them or going out of your way to help them be successful, when you see students, which is typical for a lot of ours that have life challenges, to be able to help them to get past that hurdle, you know, and to see them succeed. I mean, that's what makes me the proudest, to, you know, be a professor and be right here in the middle of Tulsa.
Well, that's all the time we have for today, but I want to thank my guests, Dr. Leigh Goodson and Dr. Angela Sivadon. I appreciate you both being here today on the show, and thank you for being here too. Remember, you can find us every week online at The Grid, tulsacc.edu/thegrid, and on the Creativity channel. We'll see you next time.